guys, it's Hannah, and today I am filming one of my very favorite tags, the Unpopular Opinions book tag. So I have actually filmed this tag before, but it was one of my very first videos, so it's super old and honestly just really embarrassing because I'm really uncomfortable and awkward on camera. So I decided that I wanted to film it again because even though I still stand by those opinions, I have a lot more unpopular opinions because I've read a lot more in the past year. So I thought that it would be fun to film this tag again and update you guys with some more of my unpopular opinions. So this tag was created by the Book Archer, and I will leave a link to her video as well as her channel in the description box. No disclaimer needed because you all know that I'm not trying to offend you, so without any further ado, let's get into the tag. Question number 1 is a popular book or series that you didn't like. I could honestly answer a lot of different things for this because I tend to have pretty unpopular opinions on some very popular books and series, but I'm gonna go with Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I actually unhauled this book a while ago, but I still haven't gotten rid of it, so it's still sitting in my room. But yeah, I did not like this book at all. For a while I actually contemplated doing a full review for this, but then I realized it would just be a rant of me hating on it, and while I still don't think that it's a good book, I don't really think it's just fair of me to stand here and make a whole video on why I didn't like this. I do have a Goodreads review for this, however, and I will leave that linked in the description box if you would like to go read it. This is a very popular book and a lot of people really love it. It's about this girl named Louisa who becomes a caretaker for this man named Will who's quadriplegic. A lot of people have criticized this book and said that it perpetuates a lot of ableist themes, and I definitely agree with those criticisms, but I also have a lot of other problems with it. I really didn't like the writing in this. I didn't connect with it in any way, shape, or form. I kind of just had to drag myself through each chapter. I also didn't like a lot of the themes in here, and even though I agreed with some of them, I thought that they were executed very poorly and didn't give a very good representation of what they were trying to represent. But overall, I just was not a fan of this book, and usually I can understand why some books, even if I don't like them, are very popular, but in this case, I honestly just don't get it. Question 2 is a popular book or series that you like but everyone else hates. Now I kind of struggled with this one because I couldn't really think of too many books that I really love that a lot of people hate, because I always tend to be on that unpopular opinion side in the first place. But the closest thing I could think of is the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I read this series years and years ago. I was in middle school when I started it, and I'm currently in college, so it's been a long time since I've read City of Bones. But when I read it the first time, I was obsessed with this book. I read it 3 times in a row because I just loved it that much. I became completely invested in the entire series. I was just so in love with them. And I've reread the Infernal Devices series since then, and I still really love those. But it's been several years since I reread this series, and honestly, I think that if I were to reread them, I'd probably like them less than I did when I was like 13. So I completely understand the criticisms that people have of this series. It's definitely not perfect. It has a lot of flaws, but this series will always just hold a very special place in my heart. I have a lot of really positive memories attached to it. It helped me get through a lot, and I shared a lot of experiences with friends who read this book as well, so I will always love it because of those memories, even though I do recognize its flaws. Question number 3 is an OTP that you hate, and I could go with a number of answers for this because there are a lot of ships that I don't like at all, but I'm gonna go with my current least favorite, and I'm gonna piss off a lot of people with this answer probably, so I apologize in advance, but that is Rowan and Aelin from the Throne of Glass series. If you've watched my Queen of Shadows or my Empire of Storms book talks, then you will know all of my thoughts on Rowan and Aelin because I rant about them in those videos for so long because I can't stand them. I just can't stand either of them as individual characters, and then when you put the two of them together, it is just like an overload of insufferable, and I just can't deal with it. Rowan is way too territorial and Aelin lies way too often, so I just can't stand either of them, and then their relationship to me just feels really forced and so cliche and so full of tropes that like I just can't deal with it. I could go on and on, but I'm not gonna do that in this video. But yeah, I just can't stand them, and they will never be a ship that I ship. Question number 4 is a popular genre that you hardly reach for, and my go-to answer for this is usually YA contemporary. That's what I answered in my last unpopular opinions tag. But for this one, obviously I'm gonna go with something different, and another genre that I've realized that I never read is sci-fi, and that's really weird for me because I actually really like sci-fi, but I hardly pick up any sci-fi books. I think the only ones I own are Across the Universe and Illuminate, and I haven't read either of those, and honestly honestly, from like my memory, I can't even think of a sci-fi book that I've read before, unless you count The Host, which I read years and years ago, and I really enjoyed that one. But like, yeah, I can't think of any other sci-fi books, and I don't know why I don't pick them up more often. So if you guys happen to have any sci-fi recommendations, definitely leave them in the comments down below because I would love to read some more sci-fi books. Question number 5 is a popular character that you don't like. And honestly, I could go with pretty much any character from Throne of Glass, but I'm not going to repeat myself in this video, so I'm going to go with a different character who is probably equally well-loved and very popular, and that is Julian Blackthorne from Lady Midnight. Now, if you've seen either my spoiler-free or spoilery discussion reviews for Lady Midnight, then you probably know about my feelings towards Julian. He's one of the main protagonists of this book, and he's a very, very popular, well-loved character that I can't stand. I'm hoping that in the next book I warm up to him a little bit because he's not completely lost on me like some other characters, but in this book I didn't like him at all. He was just another very territorial character who I found to be very problematic in the way that he chose to do things and in the way that he treated some people. It is also very possible that some of his traits are intentional for like the plot of the book. I'm trying to keep it vague so I don't give away any spoilers, but if that is explored in the coming books, then I think I might warm up to him a little bit. But if it's just like his personality traits, I don't think that I will ever really like Julian, just because he gets on my nerves and I don't see eye to eye with him ever, and not in a good way, because there are some characters that I disagree with, but I still really like them. But for me, Julian is just annoying and I can't deal with him. Hopefully I warm up to him in the next couple of books, but if he stays the way that he was in Lady Midnight, I don't think I will. The next question is a popular author that you can't get into, and for me, this is probably John Green. I read The Fault in Our Stars years ago, and when I read it, I really, really loved this book, but now looking back, I don't feel exactly the same way that I felt about it before. I still really like it, but I don't think I have as much of an emotional connection to it like I used to. And since then, I've tried to read some of his other books. I own Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska, and I tried to read Paper Towns like a few months back. I got like 20 pages in and I just got really, really bored. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm not as interested in picking up his other books anymore. And I don't think that I connect with his writing style and the themes of what he's writing about as much as I used to. I still do intend on reading Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska just because I want to know what they're about and I want to know what I think of them. But overall, I just don't think that I'm as into John Green as I once was. Question 7 is a popular book trope that you are tired of seeing. So I've actually made a few videos in the past about my least favorite book tropes. I think there was a top 5 Wednesday of book tropes you hate, and I think I made another video as well. So I will leave those linked in the description box and on the screen if you would like to go watch them. And several people have actually asked me to make another one, kind of like an updated one of more book tropes that I don't like. So if you guys would like to see that, if it's something you'd be interested in, definitely let me know in the comments down below because I could definitely make another one. But as for the trope for this question, I'm gonna go with a trope that I've been seeing a lot lately in some of the books I've been reading. I've actually vaguely mentioned it in relation to a couple of the questions that I talked about earlier, and that is the overly territorial male character. And by this, I mean when a male character is in a relationship with a female character, or there's a potential for a relationship with this female character, because I've specifically noticed this in heterosexual relationships, but that male character just gets super territorial over his female love interest and doesn't like it when she talks to a different male character, or doesn't like it when he can't be near her and he can't protect her, and he feels like he has to claim her or he has claim over her, which is something I've read several times now. And I mostly see this in YA fantasy books. And the thing I don't understand is that when you're creating your own fantasy world, why would you further perpetuate this negative, harmful stereotype of masculinity that men have to be protective over women or that they have to have some sort of ownership over women? It just doesn't make sense to me because you have the liberty to create any kind of world that you want with any sort of social norms, but then people sometimes choose to just expand these stereotypes and create worlds with like extreme heteronormativity. I'd get it if the trope was serving a purpose to make some sort of commentary or it had a purpose in the plot or something like that, but a lot of the time and in all of the books that I've seen it in so far, it doesn't do that. That behavior is actually often excused by saying, oh, it's because they're fae, or oh, it's because of their fictional race or whatever it is, and it's something that's naturally inborn into them. I could go on and on about this trope. I could make an entire video on this trope, but I am just so tired of seeing this. It does not make your male character more interesting. I think it's harmful and perpetuates negative stereotypes. stereotypes, and I think it's awful that it's romanticized and these are relationships that we're supposed to be rooting for. Question number 8 is a popular book or series that you have no interest in reading. I'm gonna go with an author, and that's actually Colleen Hoover. I just have no interest in reading any of her books. I don't particularly care for some of the themes that she writes about. I've heard a lot of really negative things about some of her books and the messages that they perpetuate, and it's just not something that I think that I would be into, so I'm just not even gonna go near it. And finally, the last question is, what TV show or movie adaptation do you think is better than the book? And I'm gonna go with The Maze Runner. I started reading the first Maze Runner book a few years ago, and I got like halfway through before I just put it down because I just didn't feel like reading the rest of it. It wasn't necessarily a bad book, it just wasn't very interesting to me. But then I saw the movie and I loved the movie so much. I think that because it's so action-packed, it translated much better on screen than it did in the book. I just had such a good time watching that movie. It was so entertaining. Also, I'm partial to Dylan O'Brien because I'm in love with him, so that made the movie even better for me. But I just really enjoyed watching it. I've actually seen it multiple times because I liked it that much. So yeah, I'd definitely go with that one. I wasn't too big of a fan of the book, but I absolutely loved the movie. So that is it, guys, for the Unpopular Opinions book tag. Let me know in the comments down below if you happen to agree with any of my unpopular opinions, or if you happen to disagree with me. Either way, definitely discuss with me in the comments down below. Also, let me know your answer to the first question, if there is a popular book or series that everyone else seemed to love but you didn't like. I'm just really curious and I love hearing people's unpopular opinions, so I'd love to hear yours. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, all of my links are in the description box as always. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!